Hello, my tinglings. I have been writing a book in Pride and Prejudice, as I've mentioned in a couple videos. And so I've been spending a lot of time in the Regency world, or Jane Austen's England. And I thought it would be fun to do some videos with you all that are a bit more along those lines. And so one of the things that I thought would be fun, I looked through Etsy at different things that they had, and I came across this board game, Polite Society. I haven't actually looked a ton into it. I did look at the reviews and see that it had pretty good reviews, and people thought it was a pretty fun game. So that's about all I did, because otherwise I thought we could look in it together as we unbox this for the first time. Welcome to Tingledom. Okay, so that gets the plastic out of the way. It's very sturdy and smooth feeling box, actually. So I'm going to read the back of the box to you so we can see what this is all about. Bringing all your favorite Jane Austen characters to life. In Polite Society, players compete to collect guests to create their ultimate dinner party table. From Elizabeth Bennet to Emma Woodhouse, every Janeite can now welcome their much-loved heroines, heroes, unwanted suitors, and overbearing relatives to their dining table, using social assets, wit, wealth, heart, and beauty. The better the seat at the table, the more assets the characters make each turn. The first player to complete their dining table wins. Action cards add to the strategy of the game, and experienced players can choose to have social missions. Well, that's interesting. Each of the 212 cards features a unique quote from one of Austen's literary works. Emma, Lady Susan, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, Pride and Prejudice, and Sense and Sensibility. Why have they not put Mansfield Park in here? Is a bit odd. Anyway. Or her private correspondence. While Polite Society is the perfect game for fans of Austen, you can enjoy and win with no knowledge of her or her works. So, our game contents are 60 guest cards, 96 asset cards, 50 action cards, 10 social mission cards, 7 table game boards, 2 dice, 8 indisposed tokens, and an instruction booklet. So first, why don't we just go through and look at all of our contents. Probably most looking forward to looking at the guest cards. Okay, so put that. So here's our rule book. And if we want to, well, we might do a setup of the board. But I probably won't read through all of the rules with you on camera, because that might be a little boring. So I can do that at a later time. So our little indisposed tokens. I do like this calligraphy here. So this game, this isn't sponsored, but I did reach out to Velty Games, talking about making some videos, maybe that we could even do some playing of the game in a future video. So I got permission for that, and she did offer me 50% off, so I thought that was really nice. But I'll put a link down in the description to the game as well. 2 dice. I like that they're black and white. Just has a really nice classy look, I think. Unlike my arm sleeves there. Anyway. So 2, 4, 3, 4, 5, 8, 6, 9, 10, 11, or 12. Okay, I don't quite know what's going on there. Those are the table. Tables, obviously. So we take our tables out. Oh, I thought that was a rubber. Oh. Is that a band around it? Yeah, it is a band. But it's not a rubber band. That's what I thought at first. So these are the wealth asset cards. Oh, these are just the asset cards here. Yeah. Okay, so they do have Mansfield Park. It is for your children's good that I wish to be richer. So we've got wealth cards. Are those all the same one? Oh no, they have different ones. That's quite cool. If people who rolled in money could not afford things, he did not know who could. A beauty asset card. It was a style of beauty of which elegance was the reigning character. And as such, she must in honor by all her principles admire it. From Emma. Heart, do not consider me now as an elegant female intended to plague you, but as a rational creature speaking the truth from her heart. And wealth again. Is that the 4? I think that's. Oh, it must be wit. That's fine. Okay, so. These must be, missions. So social butterfly, only guests from Northern Abbey, Mansfield Park, ladies, Susan and or Emma. And must include at least 2 distinct pair of siblings. At least 4 guests must be indisposed. Only Pride and Prejudice. Only male guest. Those look kind of fun. Might use those in the future. Okay. Oh, these are the character. I think there's got to be more characters than that. I don't know. Okay, we'll get these all unpacked and then look at what we're looking at. Because I do really want to look at the character cards in more depth. Guest. Yeah, we should have more guest cards then. Okay, so we've got the wit asset cards. So that should go with there. And then the rest are character cards here. And that's what I'm probably most interested in looking at. Miss Jane Austen. And her quote is, "The person, be it gentleman or lady, who has not pleasure in a good novel must be intolerably stupid." It's funny because that's actually given to Henry Tilney in Northanger Abbey. He's the one who says that, but you really do think he's speaking for Jane Austen. Mr. William Collins. I am happy on every occasion to offer those little delicate compliments which are always acceptable to ladies. Miss Caroline Bingley, oh, they made her blonde. Miss Bingley's congratulations to her brother on his approaching marriage were all that was affectionate and insincere. Miss Jane Bennet, to take the good of everybody's character and make it still better and say nothing of the bad belongs to you alone. Miss Elizabeth Bennet, he is a gentleman, I am a gentleman's daughter, so far we are equal. Don't know if that's the line from Elizabeth Bennet I would use for her. She's got a few good ones, but Mr. Charles Bingley, he is just what a young man ought to be. I never saw such happy manners. Miss Lydia Bennet, Lydia, self-willed and careless, would scarcely give them a hearing. Captain George Wickham, whatever he said was said well, and whatever he did, done gracefully. Miss Charlotte Lucas, happiness in marriage is entirely a matter of chance. I don't believe that. I think a lot of people don't. Miss Georgiana Darcy, there was sense and good humor in her face, and her manners were perfectly unassuming and gentle. And Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy, my feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. Very famous line, isn't it? Lady Catherine de Bourgh, are the shades of Pemberley to be thus polluted? Mr. Bennet, for what do we live but to make sport for our neighbours and laugh at them in our turn? Mrs. Bennet, nobody can tell what I suffer, but it is always so. Those who do not complain are never pitied. Miss Kitty Bennet, Kitty was the only one who shed tears, but she did weep from vexation and envy. Miss Mary Bennet, they found Mary, as usual, deep in the study of thorough baths and human nature. Very studious. Now we move to Emma, looks like. Which, when I was reading Emma, I hadn't read it before this year. Actually, I hadn't read any of Jane Austen's novels except Pride and Prejudice before this year. But I'd seen the movies too. Oh no, I had read Persuasion. But the thing I found about Emma is, if you've ever seen Clueless, it's a modern take on Emma, and I actually thought it followed it really closely. I thought it was a more loosely based, but it's actually quite closely based on it. Anyway, Mrs. Augusta Elton, poor Miss Brown, a little upstart, vulgar being with her Mr. E. Oh no, this is the other one. This is the one who marries Mr. Elton, of course. And her caro sposo and her resources and all her airs of pert pretension. That's why they've got the quotes on there. Miss Harriet Smith, her ignorance is hourly flattery. The titular character, Miss Emma Woodhouse, a lucky guess is never merely luck. There is always some talent in it. Mr. Frank Churchill, what right had he to come among us with affection and faith engaged, and with manners so very disengaged? Miss Jane Fairfax, also called Emma's rival by some, wrapped up in a cloak of politeness, she seemed determined to hazard nothing. Mr. Henry Woodhouse, Emma's father. His own stomach could bear nothing rich, and he could never believe other people to be different from himself. Miss Hetty Bates. I shall be sure to say 3 dull things as soon as I ever open my mouth, shan't I? Mr. Philip Elton. I never in my life saw a man more intent on being agreeable than Mr. Elton. And the love interest, Mr. George Knightley. You might not see 1 in 100 with gentlemen so plainly written as in Mr. Knightley. Then we move to persuasion. Mr. William Elliot. His manners were so exactly what they ought to be, so polished, so easy, so particularly agreeable. Miss Anne Elliot. When pain is over, the remembrance of it often becomes a pleasure. She is our heroine in the story. Miss Elizabeth Elliot. She had the consciousness of being 29 to give her some regrets and some apprehensions. Sir Walter Elliot, that's Anne's father. He considered the blessing of beauty as inferior only to the blessing of a baronetcy. Captain Frederick Wentworth. This is the man that Anne had been in love with earlier, but turned down. I'm unjust I may have been, weak and resentful I have been, but never inconstant. And then her friends, Miss Louisa Musgrove. When I have made up my mind, I have made it. Mrs. Mary Musgrove. I am so ill I can hardly speak. That's Anne's sister. Mrs. Anne Weston. Such a friend as Mrs. Weston was out of the question. 2 such could never be granted. Miss Marianne Dashwood. Now we're into Sense and Sensibility, and one of our heroines in that book. I didn't read the quote. She was sensible and clever, but eager in everything. Her sorrows, her joys could have no moderation. Miss Eleanor Dashwood. Eleanor was to be the comfort of others in her own distresses, no less than in theirs. Mrs. Jennings. She was always anxious to get a good husband for every pretty girl. Colonel Brandon, a very respectable man, who has everybody's good word and nobody's notice. Mr. John Willoughby, a young man of good abilities, quick imagination, lively spirits, and open, affectionate manners. Mr. John Dashwood. He was not an ill-disposed young man, unless to be rather cold-hearted and rather selfish is to be ill-disposed. Mr. Edward Ferrars. I never wish to offend, but I am so foolishly shy that I often seem negligent. Now into Lady Susan. I have not read Lady Susan. Sir James Martin. Though his person and address are very well, he appears a very weak young man. Sir Frederica Vernon. She is very pretty, though not so handsome as her mother, nor at all like her. Mr. Reginald Courcy. Reginald has a good figure and is not unworthy the praise you have heard given him. Lady Susan Vernon. I cannot help feeling that she possesses an uncommon union of symmetry, brilliancy, and grace. And to Mansfield Park, Lady Maria Bertram. The Preparations meanwhile went on, and Lady Bertram continued to sit on her sofa, without any convenience from them. So Fanny Price is the heroine there. Lady Bertram is her aunt, if you want to say. Miss Fanny Price, let me talk to you a little. You are a kind listener. Mr. Edmund Bertram, I was playing the fool with my eyes open. Miss Maria Bertram, her cousin. Maria evidently considered her engagement as only raising her so much above restraint. Sir Thomas Bertram, her uncle. To the great number it was a moment of absolute horror. Sir Thomas in the house. Mr. James Rushworth. If this man had not 12,000 a year, he would be a very stupid fellow. Miss Mary Crawford. I am very strong. Nothing ever fatigues me but doing what I do not like. Mr. Henry Crawford. But I cannot be satisfied without Fanny Price, without making a small hole in Fanny Price's heart. Mrs. Norris. Not even Fanny had tears for Aunt Norris, not even when she was gone forever. Mrs. Norris is her other aunt. Mr. James Morland. Beware how you give your heart. Oh, that's in, he's our first Northanger Abbey. It's probably my second favorite Jane Austen novel behind Pride and Prejudice. I love Henry Tilney. Mr. Henry Tilney. Now I must give one smirk, and then we may be rational again. General Tilney's Henry Tilney's father. General Tilney, though so charming a man, seemed always a check upon his children's spirits. Mr. John Thorpe. John Thorpe, with a plain face and ungraceful form, seemed fearful of being too handsome. Miss Isabella Thorpe. Isabella, my eldest, is not she a fine young woman? Miss Eleanor Tilney. Miss Tilney had a good figure, a pretty face, and a very agreeable countenance. Miss Catherine Morland, our titular heroine. No one who had ever seen Catherine Morland in her infancy would have supposed her to be born an heroine. And then we're back to Miss Jane Austen. So here are all our contents. We have our asset cards, which had beauty, heart, wealth, and wit. Action cards, which we didn't really look through that much, but when I come back with another video having learned the rules to teach you how to play, that's when we'll look more into that. We've got all of our guest cards, lots of fun guests to see if we can get them around our table. The mission cards for more advanced players once you've played a number of times. Got our 2 dice, our nice little game boards for each individual player, and then our rule book and our indisposed cards, or chips as you might say, and a nice lovely box. So my initial thoughts, having not looked at the actual gameplay to see how that actually works, that I'm very pleased with this game. I love the little quotes. I love the drawings. It just has a really fun feel. It does make me feel a bit more immersed into Jane Austen society, and I think it's a lot of fun like that. So be sure, if you're interested to learn how we actually play this game, and see some gameplay, I will do that in a couple of future videos. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed all our lovely quotes on the guest cards and just seeing this. Again, if you are interested, I'll put a link in the description and you can go and purchase this game for yourself.